5年ぶりだな。
あ、見てください。また巨人が入ってきます。ちょっと
畜生、やるしかねえ。
Okay, so I'm finally back after 6 months of not making a video, with hopefully a bit of a higher quality video. I don't know. It's a review for the Attack on Titan game. I've never done a review, so the way we're gonna go about this is we're gonna go gameplay first, and then story, and then kind of a conclusion at the end, just my overall thoughts of the game. Because we're not gonna get into too much of my thoughts in gameplay, a little bit in story, but mostly in the conclusion I'll tell you all the things, my opinions, my thoughts, kind of overall summary. We're not going to get into the DLC, even though I did play the game with the DLC, so I got access to the big DLC, the final fight DLC, and I got the showdown equipment and all that stuff and the weaponry. I didn't really use it during my main playthrough. I did during the DLC, which I think was a smart call by my part. Okay, so now getting into the gameplay. The difficulty, first off, the game is very easy. It looks imposing, but that is mostly because of you have to like, looking at the game, it looks scary, but if you play it enough, and just even the tutorial, it explains a lot. But I understand, looking at the gameplay, it looks very complicated. But with the gear you get and other like additions to your arsenal, the game becomes very simple and pretty easy. I would say early on it's much more easier, because later on in the game the enemies become massive bullet sponges, and well, not bullet sponges necessarily, but you know, they take a lot of hits. The gear you get in this game is very it's not too much in depth. Basically, what you do and what you should do while you play the game is you find one set of gear. For me, it was the first set you get, and it's kind of like the basic set, because the rest to me kind of looked a little bit wonky, and I didn't want to get too in depth. But yeah, you basically stick with one gear set and you upgrade that throughout the entire game, and as you upgrade, it does more damage. But usually it doesn't do enough damage, at least during the campaign. It doesn't do enough, like, it doesn't give you enough of a boost for you to become overpowered in the campaign, so you're always staying with the curve, I would say, until the late game, when the enemies just become completely, but, like, super strong. Throughout the entire time I played, I did not die once. The game is not that hard. It is very nice, and it gives you a lot of tools for you not to be fucked over. Well, for the most part. There are some times where it's just a little bit like bullshit, as any game has those moments. The movement system in the game is very simplistic. I don't know how it was in the first game. I don't know if they changed it at all. But it's as simple as just holding X in the direction you want to go in. Your character will grapple to the walls and fly. It is basically like playing the Spider-Man PS4 game. You do very little, maybe a little bit too little, because it feels like you really are doing nothing. But that's kind of where the fun comes in the combat, where you could do a bit more, and you have a bit more variety in your movement in the. So during combat, it's really also pretty simple, although you could do things that look impressive, really, but overall it's pretty simple. It's literally just you press Y and you kind of hold it down, and your character will propel at the spot you want to hit. Of course, you want to be situated in an area when you boost into the attack where it will do the most damage. The game doesn't really explain that well to you, but you figure it out after a while. Because a lot of times you're just swinging at, for the first part, you're just swinging at, like, like, you're just having shit swings, literally. But the game will give you a little crosshair, and if the crosshair is gold, that means that's a critical. Thing is, as much as it's tempting to always go for criticals, I would not recommend it, because it is very much viable just to keep swinging and slashing at them, although not as impressive. Okay, so in this game, just like the TV show, your supplies are limited, and you don't necessarily have the ability to continue fighting throughout the entire time. You have to go and resupply often, because you have two things that are detrimental to your survival, which is your gas, which you could still scoot around without your gas. It doesn't get rid of your grappling hooks at all. It just makes you very slow, and you can't do any dodges, or air movement really when you're attacking, and your blades as well. And those are pretty. You could do attacks without them as well. So if you're all your gear is out, it's still possible to attack people or attack titans. It's not completely out of the realm. It's just really bad, and it's really hard to do. In order to get your supplies, the gas, blades, items, wherever, you need to build these buildings, like I think they're called like frontal outposts or something like that. And there's tons of them to build that do different things, like ones that give you flares, which is the currency to build the outposts. But in order to get gas and blades, the best way to do it is to it costs 2 flares, and it's a supply base. It is the most, and like it will give you 2 of each, and it is the easiest way to refill. You can get other items from it as well, from the supply base. Okay, so now time for level design. So the levels are kind of annoying. It's not quite the greatest like level design I've ever seen, mostly because in most of the maps you can't use your full you can't grapple around the entire place with the ODM gear. It is a shame. You have to use horses for a lot of the open areas, which I understand makes sense in the show, but it's just so annoying, and I always almost opt not to use the horses. It really is obnoxious. You could kind of do a thing where you could do sneak attacks that kind of throw you, but you don't. It's not great, and it doesn't give you much distance. Or you could just waste your fuel, which is normally what I do. It's the fastest way to get around, to be honest. It's faster than the horses. Well, faster. The fastest way would obviously be to use your ODM gear to fucking fly around, but you don't get to do that in the open field maps. Which is why probably the funnest map is just the Trost map, because you don't have to deal with horses at all. You just get to freely move and do everything with your ODM gear. Okay, so the AI in this game, the AI I would not call stupid. I would also not call it very smart, but it does the job. I played on normal, and the AI in that is it's intelligent. They'll do things to like swat at you. They're not just idle giants to just swing at and be punching bags. They do fight back a lot. And they have this even aggro system where if one is focused on you for too long, they'll like turn red, and your entire screen will turn red, and they'll like start attacking you a bunch and focus on only you. This only happens with you. They won't do this with any bots or anything, or any of your teammates. They'll only focus on you. But this is where the funnest stuff happens, and also the kind of most annoying stuff, but overall, you have a lot of abilities to stop them from doing it too, because you get flares that you could shoot and cancel their thing, which is a little broken, but sometimes it also doesn't work, but most of the time it works and does its job. Your teammates in this game are practically useless. The four you get on to use on your D-pad, those are helpful because they could do a wide range of things. Well, they could do takedowns for you. They could do they could just do straight up strikes, or they could do they could kind of boost you and give you the infinite gas usage. But if they're not in your D-pad basically, like your squad, that's kind of the best way to put it. They are practically useless. They cannot do any damage at all. Only the people who are in your squad can do damage. And it's a little bit confusing sometimes if they will do damage by themselves, because sometimes they will. Sometimes they'll follow up an attack after you. Most of the time, it's just a safe bet that you're the only person you're going to be doing the most damage. And once again, the AI that's out of your squad is completely useless. You will see them just swarming enemies, and they don't do any damage. They just swarm just to look cool. I mean, it's kind of cool. It does look like a bit like a beehive. Glitches in this game did not happen often, and nor were they game breaking. I played on the Xbox, the Xbox One S, and I did not find too many glitches or really any that broke the game. There were some requests. I would complete them and it wouldn't count because I was just too fast for the game, I think. That's at least kind of how I figured. And honestly, there was no game breaking glitches. Like there was clipping where I would clip through and see the underground world, under the map, and that was kind of jarring. But there was really no glitches that broke the game completely. So in the game, there are not only are there the basic kind of boring titans, there are special titans, and these special titans, they're abnormals, and they're kind of bosses really. There are two types. There's bazaars and there's abnormals. The bazaars are just straight up titans, like the human kind of ish titans, like the female titan, the armor titan. I think the beast titan, and the jaw titan, all those ones, and they act the same as the abnormals, where you have to target a single body part, and that will turn green, and once you hit that, it will stun them. Hit them enough, it will stun them, and then you could attack the nape and their bodies and actually damage them. It's kind of like a shield, but only on a certain party, their arm. And this is the same with the abnormals, except instead of them being super powerful like the female titan, they are just normal titans and normal abnormals. And these kind of spice things up. They're not really that difficult, but I guess there's something kind of there just to make it not all the same. Because in reality, you would be able to just cheese most of the characters if you just attack their nape. Okay, so the final thing in gameplay, which is the Titans, being able to play the Titans. You do not get to play a Titan very much at the beginning at all. It's a very later thing, and you don't really even get to play Titans a lot until the DLC. But it does exist. There is gameplay for pretty much all of the Titans that show up. And they're fun. They're not too in depth. You could dodge kinda, and basically just you spam X and Y. Y is your power attack, X is your normal just punch, and then you'll get this meter where you could do this rage attack, which does pretty much a lot of damage and is an instant kill. But in a lot of cases, I don't really see the point of playing a Titan, because Honestly, I just use them a lot for movement, but they are fun. And sometimes there are enemies that are just completely invulnerable to the Titans that are in, like, you can't do any damage because they only do straight up like nape damage, really, and they don't do any damage to the body. So like the Titans that require you to take out an arm, you can't do that as a big Titan or as a Titan. The Titans you can play as are Aaron's Attack Titan, the Armored Titan, the Jaw Titan, and the Colossal Titan. And in the DLC you can play the Beast Titan. The Colossal Titan you kind of play, not really. It still counts. And how it works is, unless you're playing the characters in the DLC, which we're not talking about the DLC right now, so the only way you could play as a Titan is you call them down as your D-pad, and their cooldown is 110 seconds, so it's about the same cooldown as one of the takedown abilities, and it's kind of similar to that. It is kind of a takedown ability, at least the Colossal Titans one is. But basically, and you call on your Titan buddy, and your Titan buddy, like, I don't know, does this thing where he bites his hand. It would be Aaron for the most part, but you do get other characters who I don't want to say their names because spoilers and that. But yeah, and you just call them in, and they pretty much one shot all the basic Titans, it's pretty fun. It is pretty fun. So with that being gameplay out of the way, next is story, and I'll tell you what, the story is pretty much exactly the first two seasons of Attack on Titan. So if you don't want spoilers for Attack on Titan, the TV show, don't listen to this because it follows the exact same storyline with a little bit of a with some kind of like differences, sorta, and some like extra added bits to it. But overall, it is pretty much exactly the story from the Attack on Titan seasons 1 and 2, well, and 3 with the DLC, but that will be later. So the basic premise of the video game story is that basically, so the main three, Mikasa, Armin, and Eren. Well, in this game, it's kind of the main four, where it's your custom character who is unnamed and forgotten throughout all history, apparently somehow. I guess they gotta make a custom character somehow, because he is in all the places that that all the characters are in the TV show, but he just doesn't appear. So you gotta kind of forget about that. I don't know how canon this game is, but it is a little weird, because your character is very important, it seems like, to the story, but he does absolutely nothing at the same time. But he also does everything. So it's a little weird. And basically, your character was in Shiganshina with the other three, and his parents died as well, to the Armored Titan, because he burst open the wall. And this is kind of like a rivalry between you and the Armored Titan, and that's kind of the main premise of the story, is that you really fucking hate the Armored Titan. So, on paper, I love the idea of having your own Attack on Titan character, and having your own character is what made me play this game a lot, because it makes you feel like you are in the universe of Attack on Titan. It's very cool, and you even make relationships with people like in the show, and it's cool. But God, do I think the story suffers from your character being there. It feels so awkward sometimes. It really does puts you into the most important situations, and you're just sitting there going like, all right, I guess, okay. Like, I mean, I definitely wasn't there for that, and I have no idea why I did those things, but sure. And it tries to act like it gives you choice in a lot of scenarios, but you really don't get a choice. Which I'm glad. I am glad it does that, because I don't want you changing the entire show and storyline, because that would be really wonky. But it just feels weird. And it feels like, I don't know, and like even in the scenarios where you think you get a choice, and you feel like you get an option, it really just doesn't change anything. So there might as well be no like dialogue options, and it's just really weird. I don't know. I just don't like it. but I do like the idea of making your own character. Maybe it should have been used in multiplayer, but I don't know. Maybe just there should have been a separate story. I don't know. I like it and I hate it because I wouldn't have played the game as much if it wasn't there. But it is awkward that it is there, so it's just kind of one of those things you gotta live with. It is. It's so weird though. I don't know. It's just my feelings are very crossed about it. I don't know. The TV show stuff and the rest of the story is great. You got the goofy moments like
何しやがる待ってよきもとら
of course, the badass moments that there are plenty of.
Lina, ベルトルト、この裏切り者が
And of course, it's got the very stupid ending. Not of the anime, of course, of the video game. Because what happens is your character, who you beefed up and you made this absolute badass. Like by the end of the game, I had like 1,000 Titan kills. Levi had like 100, I think, in the anime, and I had 1,000. And your character sacrifices himself to save your team in the most stupid way possible, and I can't help but feel like my character got fucked over, really. Because, you know, I don't know, it's just when you make the character so strong and shit like that, and your character just dies in a pussy bitch way, it kind of really just feels like... And I feel like it very much made me dislike having a custom character. Mostly because that ending. And also, it was weird because I thought I was going to be able to use my character in the DLC, but you don't. In the DLC, you use, you know, the character from the anime, which has its positives, but it also made me not want to play the DLC for a little bit. But yeah, it's a weird ending, and also the ending feels very much like the final fight of the season 3. Which is just funny because I think they got really lucky and close because it's what you would have guessed, and it's very similar. It has the same story beats where the Colossal Titan is walking towards, you know, the wall about to destroy it. A little bit of a different scenario. The Beast Titan is out rallying the troops outside of the wall, and the Armored Titan fights Eren. Kind of obvious things that you would expect, but it's just funny that the video game probably got it closer to being right than probably you did when the season was coming out. Another thing I absolutely hate about the ending is it really just shows up out of nowhere. Like, it's like you finish the final, what you think is the final mission, the final episode of the TV show, you know, where Hannes dies and stuff like that. And then it just goes into this thing where it's like you go to Erwin and he's like, oh, there's another fight happening. We gotta rally our troops and have a final showdown. They're coming for Annie. And it's really weird and comes out of nowhere. And I honestly, I thought I was going into the DLC because the way it sounded like it was this huge final fight. And I was like, huh, this sounds a lot like the final fight of Season 3. Obviously, if you played this during 2017, you wouldn't have realized, you know, you wouldn't have thought about that. You would have just gone straight into it and been like, oh, there's an extra thing. Maybe it will hint at season 3. And it kind of did. Kind of. It was very close to the entire final fight, as I said before. But it doesn't really tell you too much. Unlike the season 3 teaser, that was kind of cool. I wish I played that when it came out, because it does have a reveal for the end of season, or for something in season 4. But yeah, it's just it comes out of nowhere, doesn't really do much, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, it just kind of had this extra mission for your character to die, and it's really dumb. Some of the side activities you could do are really fun. They're really repetitive. Like all the scout missions are literally the same, where you just go and kill this final thing. Where there's a bunch of titans spread around that you can kill to get the I forget what it's called. It's like exotic titan. I don't know, but you could get that, and then it's basically like, you just kill this big old titan. But some of the character side quests are fun, where you actually gain reputation with them, and you could befriend them, and you get them to a higher level, and you could get skills from them. And it's very fun, and it makes you want to talk to them and get your skills up and do other things rather than just the story, because you get rewarded for it, and you get some pretty fucking broken abilities, like the ability to throw your blades in air, which is something that you do in season, or Levi does, and you get it from Levi, I'm pretty sure. And it does damage too. Like it doesn't only just act as replenishing your blades, which is what it's called. It's called mid-air replenish blades. But you also throw it, and you could kill a Titan with it, and it's pretty fun to do. Although the way I use it very it doesn't. It's not as it doesn't really do your blades any good. I just waste blades by doing it sometimes because it's just fun. You can also get a mid-air gas replenish. I haven't been able to find who has it. I think it's one of the commanders who has it. But yeah, there's some pretty broken abilities and pretty fun abilities. Kind of all my thoughts just gathered to one big long talk. So the gameplay, it's great. It definitely needs a little. It should have had a bit more to it, because you really do the same stuff every single time. You go to a Titan, and if it's too tough, you go for the legs to knock it down, so you get very easy criticals on its nape. And it's kind of boring, honestly. And when the enemies, if you go to like scout missions that are really easy, the enemies are so easy to kill, because it's just, you basically one-shot them no matter what. Your team one-shots them, and it's just very mind-numbing a lot of times. And it's a shame, because if the combat was more intuitive, or the movement or something, just anything was more like, well, not intuitive, but it's very intuitive. That's the issue. It's too easy to figure out, and it's too easy to just do. I feel like there needs to be a bit of because what it really is it's easy to learn and easy to master. None of it's too difficult to figure out. Same exactly with the movement, even more so with the movement. And it's a shame, because there really should be more. And, and for the story, again, the character being an addition, it's just really weird. And it's something I'm so crossed about, because I don't know if I should give it, because with it, I wouldn't be playing it without it. With it, though, it does add a lot. So I think, and the character creator is great. It's not super in depth, but it's great. It's enough to get, it's enough to kind of make yourself, and I kind of made me. The side quests are pretty fun. There's a lot of side activities to do, like capture Titans. That's fun. What's it called? Another mode, where you play, where it's basically the multiplayer mode. I didn't play too much of it, but it is there and exists, and it is pretty fun. And you get to play random, you get to play any character you want, and it's a little bit funner in the DLC, because you get to play cooler characters. But and also you don't get the ability to turn into a Titan if you have a Titan character, which is a shame. But yeah, another mode is fun, and all this side stuff is fun. And overall, it's the Attack on Titan video game it's a very good game. For a score, I don't really have any basis, since this is my first review, but I think this is a solid 8 out of 10. I enjoyed my time with it, and if you're a fan of the Attack on Titan series, get this. This adds a lot to a lot of characters that you didn't even know, especially if you do their side quests, and it adds a lot to them. And like one of my favorite characters, Jean. He has a whole quest, it's a kind of weird quest, but it's fun nonetheless, and it adds more depth to the character, even if the depth is a little meaningless, really, because it doesn't do anything for the show. But it's there. It's there, and it's fun. And like, and honestly, with all these things being said, with like my complaints about the character, your character being kind of just added in there for no reason, it is fun though. Like, it is fun, and that's why I'm saying it's. I can't really say it goes against it too much. Of course, there are a lot of flaws with the game. Like I said, gameplay wise, where it's just very easy, and really too easy, and not much depth to it, which is a shame. Even with all the gear and stuff like that, it's just there's not a lot of depth. There looks like there should be, but there really isn't. So overall, the game is definitely an 8 out of 10. That is very fair. Fair number, I think.
Rainer! やるんだな。今ここで